think you know the cradle of humankind. You think of a gentle garden, a quiet beginning, where humanity took its first innocent steps. But the ground here has never been gentle. It is a landscape of tectonic fury, a place where three continents are ripping away from each other, stretching the Earth's crust so thin that hell itself seems to bubble to the surface. Why would the human story begin in one of the most volatile places on the planet? Here, time does not pass. It accumulates in layers of volcanic ash and hardened lava. Allowing a person in the 21st century to live by a rhythm dictated not by the clock, but by the slow, inexorable breathing of the earth. This is not a story of our past. It is a story of the enduring pressure that created us, a 30-million-year-old demonstration of what human beings are willing to endure for a place they have decided, beyond all reason, they cannot leave. Welcome to Ethiopia. In the northern corner of the Afar Triangle, the Earth ceases to be a stable platform for human life and becomes an active, hostile participant in its own remaking. This is the Danakil Depression, a geological wound where the African, Somali, and Arabian plates are pulling away from each other, stretching the continent's crust to its breaking point. The land has subsided to more than 400 feet below sea level, creating the hottest inhabited place on Earth. Here, the heat is not a feature of the weather. It is a permanent condition of the ground itself, a constant, radiant energy flowing up from the planet's core. Air temperatures regularly exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, a reading that fails to capture the reality of a place where water boils on the surface and the horizon shimmers not with moisture, but with sheer thermal force. At Dallol, the planet's interior processes are laid bare. Hydrothermal fields create a panorama of acid pools and sulfur springs. Their colors, fluorescent yellow, toxic green, deep orange, so vivid they feel like a warning. This is not soil, it is a mineral palette, a chemical reaction painted across the desert floor. The air is thick with the smell of sulfur and chlorine, a constant reminder that the boundary between the surface and the mantle is perilously thin. A few miles away, the salt flats stretch to the horizon, a blinding white expanse of crystallized earth, the desiccated floor of an ancient sea. The ground cracks into perfect polygons under the relentless sun, a vast, natural mosaic that seems designed by a force that has no regard for life, a geometry of desiccation. And yet, life is here, not just surviving, but woven into the very fabric of this furnace. For centuries, the Afar people have walked into this landscape, their existence tied not to what can be grown, but to what can be harvested from the incandescent earth. They are the salt miners, and they follow a rhythm that predates modern maps, modern economies, and modern ideas of what is physically possible. Before the sun rises to its full, unbearable power, they move across the salt pan. The work is a form of negotiation with the geology, an acceptance of its terms. Each slab, weighing dozens of pounds, is cut and shaped by hand, the sharp crystals scraping skin, the saline air drawing moisture from every cell. This salt is not a seasoning. It is a currency, the white gold of the Danakil. The slabs are loaded onto the backs of camels and donkeys, forming caravans that can stretch for miles, a slow-moving artery of commerce connecting this impossible landscape to the highlands of Ethiopia. The journey takes weeks, following ancient trade routes across a terrain that offers no shade, no water, no relief. The survival of the Afar is a testament to a form of human adaptation so complete it seems to border on the superhuman. They have learned to read the subtle language of the desert, to find sustenance where there is none, and to endure a level of physical hardship that would break most others in a matter of hours. Their lives are not lived in spite of this environment, but because of it. The same geology that created this hellscape also created the one resource that has sustained their culture for 1,000 years. Nearby, another expression of the Earth's internal fire rises from the desert floor. Erta Ale, the Smoking Mountain, is one of the world's few continuously active shield volcanoes, and at its summit lies a permanent lava lake, a window into the planet's molten heart. To stand at its rim is to witness the process of creation in real time. The surface of the lake is a black, basaltic crust, fractured by veins of incandescent magma that glow with an intensity that feels ancient and alive. The crust shifts, collides, and subducts back into the fiery liquid below, a slow, tectonic dance in miniature. The people who live in its shadow do not see it as a geological curiosity. It is a powerful, unpredictable neighbor, a source of both creation and destruction. They understand that the ground beneath their feet is not solid, that the world is not finished. In the Danakil, survival is not about conquering the landscape, but about achieving a delicate, hard-won equilibrium with its elemental forces. Places like this remind us that the most extreme environments do not always repel human life. Sometimes they forge it into a form as hard and as resilient as the salt cut from the earth itself. From the lowest, hottest point on the continent, the Ethiopian landscape ascends to its opposite extreme. The Simien Mountains are not a single range, but a vast, high-altitude plateau, a piece of the Earth's crust thrust thousands of feet into the sky by volcanic activity, then carved over millions of years by erosion into a dramatic tableau of jagged peaks, deep valleys, and sheer escarpments. This is the roof of Africa, a world of thin air, cold winds, and a silence so profound it feels like a physical substance. The cliffs of the escarpment drop vertically for more than 3,000 feet, revealing the stratified layers of ancient lava flows, a geological history book written in stone. This extreme altitude and isolation have created a unique biological world, an Afro-alpine ecosystem that exists nowhere else. It is a landscape that has fostered life in its own image, resilient, strange, and perfectly adapted to conditions of extremity. Here, on the cliff edges and grassy plateaus, live the gelada, the world's only grass-eating primates. They are not monkeys of the forest, but of the open highlands, their complex social lives playing out against a backdrop of breathtaking verticality. They communicate through a complex repertoire of vocalizations and facial expressions, their communities organized with the sophistication that mirrors the complexity of the landscape they inhabit. At night, they descend the sheer cliff faces to sleep on ledges inaccessible to predators, a daily act of trust in the rock that has defined their evolution. Further south, the Bale Mountains present a different face of the Ethiopian highlands. Here, the landscape is a rolling plateau of alpine moorland, a vast, undulating expanse dotted with heather and giant St. John's wort trees. It is a softer, more subtle beauty, but it is no less extreme. This is the largest expanse of alpine habitat in Africa, and it is the last refuge of the Ethiopian wolf, the continent's rarest canid. With its slender body and striking red coat, it is a creature of the high plateau, a specialist hunter whose existence is a fragile one, a delicate balance between its prey and a habitat shrinking under human pressure. For the Oromo people who live on the fringes of these mountains, life is a vertical negotiation. They farm the high-altitude soil, their lives governed by the rhythms of the mountains, their culture shaped by the isolation and self-sufficiency that such a landscape demands. The mountains are both a fortress and a provider, a place that has protected their traditions while demanding a constant physical engagement with the realities of altitude and weather. Places like these teach us that isolation is not an absence, but a crucible. It is a force that can forge unique forms of life, both biological and cultural, preserving ancient ways of being in a world that is constantly changing below. In the Lasta Mountains, at the heart of the highlands, lies a testament to a faith so powerful it reshaped the earth itself. Lalibela is not a city of buildings, but of excavations. It is a collection of 11 medieval churches, each one carved not from quarried stone, but from a single, monolithic block of living volcanic tuff. They were not built up, they were dug down, their roofs level with the ground, their interiors hollowed out from the heart of the rock. To approach a church in Lalibela is to first look down into a deep trench, to see a form that is an absence, a space created by the monumental act of removal. The creation of these churches in the 12th century was an act of engineering that borders on the miraculous, but it was driven by a spiritual imperative. King Lalibela sought to build a new Jerusalem in the heart of Ethiopia, a holy city that would be a destination for pilgrims, safe from the conflicts that had made the original inaccessible. The work was done with simple tools, a process of unimaginable labor and precision. Workers first dug the trenches around the future church, isolating the massive block of stone. Then, they began to carve from the top down, shaping the exterior, before tunneling inside to hollow out the naves, aisles, and sanctuaries. The result is an architecture of subtraction, a form that is inseparable from the geology from which it was born. To step inside one of these churches is to enter a space that feels both man-made and entirely natural. The air is cool and still, the acoustics are muted, sound absorbed by the solid earth. This is not a building placed upon the landscape, but a sacred space discovered within it. The churches are connected by a labyrinth of tunnels and passages, also carved from the rock, creating a subterranean world that reinforces the sense of separation from the ordinary world above. Today, Lalibela is not a museum. It is a living center of the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. White-robed pilgrims move through the courtyards and tunnels, their faces etched with a devotion that has been passed down through generations. The faith practiced here is as solid and enduring as the stone from which its holiest sites are carved. Lalibela demonstrates that belief can be a geological force, an impulse so strong it can move mountains, not by leveling them, but by transforming them from within. It is a reminder that the most powerful structures are sometimes not those that reach for the sky, but those that anchor themselves deep within the earth. Descending from the highlands, the Great Rift Valley splits the country in two. Here, the Omo River flows south, a lifeline in a challenging land. For millennia, its seasonal floods have deposited rich silt along its banks, creating a narrow ribbon of fertility that has drawn human life for as long as humans have existed. The Lower Omo Valley is a living anthropological museum, home to a diversity of indigenous peoples whose cultures have remained remarkably intact. For the tribes of the Omo, the Hamar, the Mursi, the Karo, the human body is the primary canvas for cultural expression. Their intricate body painting, scarification, and elaborate adornments are not decorative. They are a complex visual language that communicates identity, social status, and personal history. The colors are derived from the earth, the adornments from the plants and animals of the valley. Their lives are governed by the rhythm of the river, a cycle of flood and drought that dictates when to plant, when to graze their cattle, and when to perform the ceremonies that bind their communities together. Further north, another body of water has shaped a different kind of cultural isolation. Lake Tana, the source of the Blue Nile, is a vast inland sea, its surface dotted with islands that have, for centuries, been a refuge for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Hidden among the dense foliage are ancient monasteries, their simple forms blending into the forest. To travel by boat to one of these islands is to journey back in time. Inside, the walls are covered in vibrant, breathtaking frescoes, painted in a distinctive graphic style, depicting biblical scenes and the lives of Ethiopian saints. These monasteries became repositories of knowledge and faith, their isolation protecting them from the conflicts that swept across the mainland. The Omo Valley and Lake Tana show us two faces of isolation. In the Omo, the harshness of the land has forged cultures that wear their identity on their skin. On Lake Tana, the protective embrace of the water has nurtured a faith that expresses itself on the hidden walls of its island sanctuaries. Both are worlds unto themselves, preserved by the geography that contains them. In the east, perched on a granite plateau, the walled city of Harar stands as a bastion of Islamic culture and history. For centuries, it was a vital center of commerce and religion, a crossroads of trade routes connecting the Horn of Africa to the Arabian Peninsula. To enter the Dallol, the old walled city, is to step into a labyrinth of 368 narrow, winding alleys, a maze designed to confuse invaders and create an intimate communal world within its fortified perimeter. The walls of the houses are painted in a vibrant palette of colors, giving the city a dreamlike quality. But the city's most unique tradition is its relationship with the wild. For generations, the people of Harar have lived in a strange symbiosis with the spotted hyenas that inhabit the surrounding hills. Every night, a designated hyena man calls the animals to the city gates and feeds them by hand, a ritual that is both a spectacle and a deeply ingrained part of the city's identity. This practice is said to have begun centuries ago as a way to appease the hyenas and prevent them from attacking livestock. Today, it represents a remarkable, negotiated peace between the human and animal worlds, a blurring of the line between the civilized and the wild that is unique to this place. Far from this urban fortress, another labyrinth exists, one not built by human hands. The Sof Omar Caves are a vast network of caverns, a subterranean world carved by the Weeb River as it flows through a seam of limestone. The cave system stretches for nearly 10 miles, its passages opening into enormous chambers filled with extraordinary rock formations. For the local Muslim population, Sof Omar is not a geological wonder. It is a sacred place, a natural mosque. Harar builds walls to define its holy city, yet maintains a porous boundary with the wildness outside. Sof Omar finds its sanctuary in a space carved by the patient, relentless work of a river. Both are places where the physical landscape and the spiritual imagination have become inextricably intertwined. Ethiopia should not exist as it does, not by the logic of modern nation-states, not by the logic of stable geology, not by any measure that assumes the ground beneath our feet is a fixed and passive stage. It is a land forged in the planet's deepest fires and raised to its highest peaks, a place of constant, dynamic tension. What has persisted here is not the result of favorable circumstances or abundant resources, but of a long, inherited conversation with extremity. The Afar salt miner walking into the Danakil's heat, the priest chanting in a church carved from a single stone, the Omo elder painting a story onto his child's skin, the wolf hunting on the high Bale Plateau. These are not relics of a static past. They are expressions of a deep geological wisdom. They are the accumulated understanding that the appropriate response to an unstable and challenging world is not to demand that it stabilize, not to fight against its fundamental nature, but to learn, across generations, the precise and subtle art of living well within it. As the rest of the world increasingly confronts its own forms of instability, of climate, of resources, of certainty, the landscapes of Ethiopia stop looking like exceptions and start looking like a text. A 30-million-year-old story of what it means to adapt, to endure, and to create profound meaning from a land that offers beauty and hardship in equal, inseparable measure. This is not where the human story began by accident. It is where it learned its most important and enduring lesson: that survival is not about finding the easiest path, but about becoming strong enough and wise enough to walk the one you are given. It is a form of wisdom the world has largely forgotten, a wisdom it may desperately need to remember.